This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Law is defined as legal requirements written down and enforced by relevant government entities such as courts of law. On the other hand, ethics is defined as moral guidelines that govern a person's behavior when interacting with others or society in general. Although the application of law and ethics may differ, in some cases, they may overlap. For instance, murder is considered both illegal and unethical. Similarities. Both law and ethics tend to prevent violations of some regulations set by society. In most cases, they dictate people's behavior, how they deal with each other, and how they deal with society in general. In both cases, violation leads to some penalty either as punishment or a sense of disapproval from society. Violation of the law may lead to punishment, whereas violation of ethical standards may lead to disapproval and, in some cases, condemnation by society. Differences. The definition of law has terms such as accepted, consistent, universal, published, and enforced. The law should be properly described and state a clear idea. In other words, any contradictions are unacceptable, as people cannot follow both. Law has to be universal in order for it to be applicable to everyone within its jurisdiction. In most cases, it does not discriminate against people when applied unless in special cases such as diplomatic immunity or mental disorders. The law has to be written, as any law is to be published. Law is accepted, and so it must be obeyed. When developing laws, different representatives of people meet, and on their behalf, they establish laws. As such, the law is derived from the people who have the duty of obeying it. Since the law must be obeyed, it becomes enforceable, and that is why institutions such as the police and the judiciary have a duty to enforce the law. On the other hand, ethics is not enforceable, so people cannot be compelled to adhere to their requirements. In addition, they are not universal, and so their application depends on specific individuals, societies, or organizations based on factors such as cultural background and moral codes. Ethics are not formed by bodies representing people, so their applications depend on how individuals behave in relation to the norms of a given society. Ethics must have moral values that guide one's conduct. When people interact with each other, there are usually ethical issues that they consider so as not to go against the will of others and society in general. For instance, it is ethical for a doctor to assist a patient who needs emergency services whether he or she is on duty. The law does not necessarily have to carry moral values as it is based on a legal framework set by authoritative bodies to guide people's conduct. For instance, when a doctor is not on duty, he may decline to assist a patient under emergency care and will not be considered to have violated any law. The law carries legal punishments that are enforced by law-enforcing bodies such as the police and the judiciary. When a person breaks the law, he or she may be subjected to an investigation or a court process, and the punishment may be imprisonment or a fine. Ethics does not carry any punishment. The only penalty may be disapproval from peers or society. If you want to find more works like this essay on laws and ethics, comparison, head over to ivypanda.com. It has a collection of free samples with thousands of submissions covering virtually all academic subjects. No registration required to access it.